I'm back.
So I could...
At the beginning, that was pretty much all I knew about him. Carlotta had... He told me that he hadn't. Maybe I could trust him. Do you know what this is?
It's a matchbook.
Any reason it might have the address of the parrot written on the back?
None that has anything to do with me.
The question was, how could I get it out of him? I'm against unnecessary... Besides, these skinny types can be tougher than they look. So you don't know Mundy?
I've already told you that I don't.
And this matchbook means nothing to you?
Do you practice to become this irritating?
Well, I'm confused. You see, this is Mundy's handwriting on the matchbook, and this is your address he wrote. Shall I tell you what I think?
I don't think I have that much choice.
I think Mundy is here, but he told you not to tell anyone that he's here.
You're just making it up as you go along.
Well, I could always go and fetch the watch. I heard they were looking for Mundy too, and if he's not here, you wouldn't have to worry about being charged with hiding a known fugitive. They can get so impatient.
Mundy's not a fugitive.
How would you know?
You little... All right, you win. He's upstairs, but don't tell him I told you.
I wouldn't dream of ruining your reputation in high society. Until later, Mencken. I'd gone to a lot of trouble to find Mundy, and now the goal was in reach. It seemed like an anticlimax. I couldn't quite see what Mundy was doing when I entered his room, and seconds later I couldn't see anything at all. The last thing I saw as I passed out of consciousness was the floor rushing up to meet me. By the time I came around, the watch had arrived. I must have been unconscious for hours, maybe days. I thought no one could feel as bad as I did, until I saw Mundy. His feet were bound and his eyes had been gouged out. Either he died of massive blood loss, or he'd spilt an awful lot of red wine. It wasn't going to be a good day, I decided.
Going somewhere, Luton? You don't leave until we've finished with you.
You know where my office is. If you want an interview, you can find me there.
I consider you to be the prime suspect in this investigation.
You've got to be kidding.
I've never been more serious.
Never? What do you want with me? I was unconscious throughout the whole incident.
We only have your word for that. You could have killed Mundy and then knocked yourself unconscious.
With what?
Your wedding. You were pretty serious then.
What?
Yes, Nobby. Now shut up.
Will you explain what you think I did?
You came in, mutilated Mundy, and then knocked yourself unconscious.
Is that all?
There's your promotion, too. You were really serious then.
Nobby, you've made your point, thank you. Shut up.
How did I knock myself unconscious?
I don't know yet. But you're not a complete fool, Luton. You'd have found a way.
Do you have any evidence against me, or is this just part of your ongoing campaign of victimization?
You're always kinda serious.
You were present at the time of the murder. Your rope was used in the murder.
My rope? The murderer steals from me, and suddenly I'm guilty of murder?
It's not a bad thing. I mean, you're the commander of the watch, and that's a serious job.
Then there's the victim's message.
Azil? How does that incriminate me?
It ends in L-E. He could have been trying to write Luton. He could have died before he could finish.
He could have been trying to write Lemon! And what is Azzy supposed to mean?
I was only trying to help.
For all we know, Azzy might mean it was in Mundy's own language.
For all we know, Azil might mean, help, someone has gouged my eyes out. You're just guessing. There must be other suspects.
The landlord says no one went upstairs after you.
It could be the landlord for all you know.
Mencken? He's not the type. Anyway, he reported the incident to us.
Listen, you've got nothing on me, and unless you're going to arrest me, I'm going to leave.
I'm keeping an eye on you, Luton. Consider yourself a suspect for all the counterweight killings. If you're in any way involved, I'll find out. Don't leave town, Luton.
He's really got it in for me, hasn't he? He's not a bad person, Luton. He's just a bit...
Psychotic? Obsessed? Judgmental?
I was going to say overworked, but I've changed my mind.
What's this about counterweight killings?
Well, and this is in the strictest confidence,
I won't tell anyone who doesn't talk to me.
the murders have all been a bit, well, odd, redualistic.
What? They are involved with a revival of philosophical principles concerning the division of reality into two independent forces, mind and matter?
No. Redualistic. Like what cults do. Reduals.
Ritualistic. I see. Like someone was trying to make a point.
Yeah. One of the patrician's clerks was killed the other day. Very suspicious.
Why the counterweight killings?
I'd better not discuss that. Gotta go. See you later, Luton.
A lot later will do. There was nothing on Mundy's body worth taking. If I had an iconograph, I could have taken a picture of the message. But I didn't have one. And even if I did, there didn't seem much point. I didn't want to become too reliant on technology. It hardly seemed worth searching the bed. The watch had already searched it, and frankly, it was a pretty nasty bed. Nothing. There should have been something in the boots, only there wasn't. I was pretty sure that the watch didn't search them, and that didn't leave many options. How does it feel to be a suspect, Mankin?
What?
You're an obvious choice of suspect because you called the watch. You were the first on the scene. Round here, that means it's practically a closed case.
I don't see why. You were there when I got there.
I was unconscious.
Well, I heard a commotion. That's what made me check it out in the first place. Maybe Mundy managed to knock you out before he died.
While he was tied and blind? Perhaps he said a particularly offensive word and I fainted.
Well, I happen to know that the watch consider you a suspect.
Well, don't forget that I know something that they don't. That you're a liar and you can't be trusted.
Just because you can't trust me doesn't mean no one can trust me.
I see Sir has returned.
Sir,
Who would Sir like to see?
is Carlotta home?
Alas, no. What a shame that Sir's trip has been. Perhaps Sir would like to leave.
Tell her I called.
Why, my loins stir at the very thought.
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
Ah, Luton. I was hoping you would drop by.
You don't sound so good, Count.
I am not the man I used to be, that is certain. Past my prime, you might say. Yes, past my prime.
I could come back later if you want.
No, there is no guarantee that I will be getting any better. If anything, I might be worse.
Your health?
We are both men of the world, Mr. Luton. I will not mince words with you. I am dying. I might last another year or so, or I might not last the week. And to think I thought Ankh-Morpork would be good for my health.
Not too many people would believe you, certainly.
let us dispense with the pleasantries and get straight to business. Yes? Yes. Straight to business.
Do you know anything about the murder of a man named Mundy?
Mr. Luton, I couldn't be less interested in the petty crimes of this wretched city.
I found someone who saw Regin's carriage the other night.
Just let me know when you found Regin.
I'll be back later.
I look forward to it.
There was something about the way the other members of the Watch looked at me that let me know that no matter how innocent I was still stained with suspicion. Still, I'll take the stains of suspicion over the tarnish of guilt. Suspicion was easier to wash out. Sometimes I think I'd just give up and crawl inside a whiskey bottle. Except that you can only do that if you are less than 1 inch high. Doesn't look like I'm too welcome around here. Of course, I haven't been welcome here since I got kicked off the force, but at least then they just thought I was corrupt. Now they think I'm a murderer.
Nah, Luton, you've got it all wrong. They don't think you're a murderer. They think,
That my personal hygiene is appalling?
no,
That I have the Clatchian plague?
no,
Face it, they think I'm a murderer.
you know, give me a minute, I'll think of something.
Nobby, you've never thought of something printable in your entire life. Why should you start now? Did anyone report a speeding carriage 3 days ago?
Funny you should ask that. Sergeant Colon was almost run down by a carriage 3 days ago. He's been going on about it ever since. He says we ought to have speed limits for carriages.
How would you tell what speed a carriage was going?
Well, a watchman's instincts are never wrong.
You could always go for a more preventative approach.
Like what?
You could ban carriages altogether.
Yeah, that'd work.
Hey, you could go one step further. You could ban people from Ankh-Morpork, and then there'd be no crime at all.
Well, there'd still be the trolls and the dwarfs, and the gargoyles, and the gnomes, and the undead and the golems. Of course, the golems don't make much crime, and the gargoyles' only crime is avicide. And it's not like we're short of pigeons. But the trolls and the dwarfs, well, I mean, they make as much crime as any of the humans, maybe even more.
It's no fun when it's this easy. Like shooting fish at a barrel.
Hey?
Never mind. About this carriage the other night. Where did Colon see it?
I think he said it was headed for the Magdalen Bridge.
It wasn't much of a lead, but at least it was something. Usually you could only get a lead out of Nobby with a scalpel. The Magdalen Bridge was one of 10 bridges that linked the city of Ankh to the city of Morpork. It was an unremarkable structure, most famous for the number of suicides it attracted. The trouble with trying to drown yourself in the Ankh is that you're more likely to break a leg falling onto the thick crust of the river than actually come near any water. Still, if you were heavy enough, you could eventually sink into the depths. I can think of nicer ways to go, though, and much quicker ones, too. I wasn't about to scrape the marks off the bridge. I wasn't strong enough to bend the railings back into shape, and frankly, what would be the point? I'd already had to dive onto the Ankh once. I wasn't about to do it again. Besides, the river seemed slightly more liquid here than at the wharf. Well, I use the term liquid loosely. If it wasn't for the fact that it moves faster than the surrounding land, I wouldn't know what to call it. I'd found some fabric caught on the railings of the Magdalen Bridge. It was distinctive enough that I hoped someone would recognize it.
I see, sir.
Sir
Who would say?
Is the Count receiving guests?
No, but he will see you.
I've got a few more questions for you, Count.
Yes, good questions. Go on.
Do you recognize this fabric?
Yes. It's familiar. Yes. I remember. It's from the carriage. I liked the carriage. Do you know where it is?
From Regin's carriage?
Yes. Yes, from the canopy.
That's what I thought. I found someone who saw Regin's carriage the other night.
Just let me know when you found Regin.
I see, sir.
Sir,
Who would?
is Carlotta home?
Alas, what a shame. Perhaps, sir.
Tell her.
Why, my...
I need your help again.
Well, okay, I suppose.
Have you seen this fabric anywhere before?
No.
I'm looking for a dwarf named Regin. He's been missing.
What kind of missing for? Help me.
Missing.
How long?
3 days.
3? You've got that barely.
How long?
I'd say.
3.
Of course, if the.
Just. I guess I didn't want to. There's an inscription. Madame Lodes. I guess I could have taken a rubbing of the inscription if it wasn't for one I didn't want to. I couldn't think of a good reason to steal the painting, even though it would have looked great on my office wall. It seemed to be a cheap copy of Spinner's Rain, Cream, and Speed. I could tell it was art, because I couldn't make out what it was supposed to be. There was nothing on... Mundy's corpse wasn't very attractive. I wasn't looking forward to telling Carlotta how Mundy died. Mundy's killer had tied his legs together with my rope. It was bad enough that he stole my rope without implicating me in a gruesome murder at the same time. Based upon the real truth, the King of Ankh, Hwell's most boring play. Something had clearly lost control on the bridge. Something with wheels. Beyond that, it was difficult to say. I was hit by another inspiration. I could use the grapple to dredge the water under the bridge to see if there was anything down there. Unfortunately, I'd need very long arms. Well, I'm back. I'm trying to find out why a troll named Sapphire would lie to me. Any thoughts?
Don't know nothing about that.
Three nights ago, Regin left the wharf in Ankh, heading hubwards in a carriage. Did you see him?
Don't know nothing about that.
Do you recognize the dwarf in this iconograph? Malachite was as talkative as a corpse, and only slightly more attractive. I wasn't about to hand the grapple. All I knew about the statue was that it was a work in progress. I didn't have any reason to steal Rodin's statue. You can't go around jimmying every door open just because you can. Besides, I liked some ale, and I drew the line at breaking into the cafe's wine cellar without his permission. The main without it. I decided not.